Are you on your cell phone right now? How about a laptop? Did you know it might be made using child labour? The batteries used in phones and laptops contain cobalt. Most of the world's cobalt comes from the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. 40,000 children are thought to work in mines in the Congo, making between $1 and $2 a day. A recent investigation found children as young as 7 years old collecting, sorting and cleaning mineral ores for 10 to 24 hours straight. They're exposed to dust that can lead to lung disease, and some are even beaten by security guards.
Child labor at Microsoft. Microsoft is an American multinational technology corporation, headquartered in Redmond, Washington. Microsoft's best-known software products are the Windows line of operating systems, the Microsoft Office suite, and the Internet Explorer and Edge web browsers. The injustice I have chosen falls under the primary sector and falls under the sourcing of raw materials in the supply chain. But there is a dark truth behind Microsoft. Behind the scenes, they are sourcing the cobalt used in the batteries of their phones and computers from cobalt mines in the Democratic Republic of the Congo that use child labor to mine their cobalt. Context of issues. The children in these mines are forced to work long hours for very little pay. They can work for as long as 10 to 24 hours for as little as $1 to $2 per day as pay. The children are also forced to work in terrible conditions. They are exposed to very risky conditions, which places them at risk of fatal mine collapses, injuries caused by accidents, and mercury poisoning. The children also have a terrible quality of life and standard of living. They have poor sanitation systems, which means poor hygiene, and they are also susceptible to disease and infection as a result of open wounds from the beatings they get from the guards and the poor hygiene they experience. Microsoft is also responsible for metric tons of pollution, as the products produced and sold by Microsoft cannot be thrown away and are not biodegradable, so they stay there for many years and pollute the environment. According to an article I found, after 3 years of slight declines in emissions, Microsoft saw a 21% jump from 11.2 million metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalent released in 2020 to nearly 13.8 million metric tons released in 2021. This is very harmful to the environment. Microsoft is also responsible for the exploitation of natural resources, as they use the cobalt that the children mine at an alarming rate, and cobalt is a non-renewable resource, so if they do carry on using the cobalt at the rate they are, it will become exploited entirely in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Action plan. Now that the issues and their sources have been identified, the next step is to take action and try to stop child labor being used to mine cobalt for Microsoft. The first step in taking action is to spread awareness about the child labor taking place in the DRC to help people realize what is happening in the DRC and how Microsoft is sourcing the cobalt used in their batteries. The resources needed to make this step successful is the communication of these injustices and raising awareness of these injustices on social media. The stakeholders needed to make this step successful are social media influencers, the general public, and people with a large following. We need to raise awareness of these injustices if we want to bring about real change that benefits these children. The next step in taking action is to boycott Microsoft. If we boycott Microsoft, they will have no choice but to stop using raw materials produced by child labor to source their phones. The resources needed in order to make this step successful is a strong and common public belief and opinion so that the majority of the public agrees to boycott Microsoft. The stakeholders needed to ensure the success of this step is the general public and anyone who agrees to boycott Microsoft. The next step in taking action is to gain the help of the government, because if the government is made aware of child labor that is occurring in the DRC, then they can take real action as they have the power to do so, and they can also make it illegal to practice any child labor. The resources needed to gain the support of the government is a petition that people must sign that will make the government help us. Therefore, the general public is another resource that will be needed to gain the support of the government, as the general public needs to sign the petition. The stakeholders needed in order to make the step successful is the general public and, of course, the government. The last step in taking action is to actively take action ourselves, because if we truly want to bring about change and to stop these injustices, we need to take action. The resources needed in order to make this step successful are all the resources mentioned in the previous steps. The government is the main stakeholder of this step, but the general public is also a very important stakeholder of this step. My personal plan for conscious consumerism is to only purchase environmentally friendly products from companies that produce them in an environmentally friendly way. I also will only purchase products from companies who didn't produce them by violating human rights. And I will also only consume what I need and nothing more. How can we help? We can use social media as a platform to spread awareness and raise concern over the child labor in the cobalt mines of the DRC. Because we are a tech-driven generation, and we need to use our knowledge of technology for something other than our self-pleasure. And in order for this to truly succeed, we need everyone's support, because the more people we have that know about these injustices, the more the knowledge of these injustices will spread, and the more awareness will be raised over the child labor in the DRC.